Our scripture for this evening comes from Matthew chapter 24, verses 5 through 13. Matthew chapter 24, verses 5 through 13. Here we read these words: "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." This is a most interesting passage of Scripture. In it we learn something about the real world, and that is, the real world is wrought with problems. The expectation that Jesus gave to those who asked of him about the end of all things, and the expectation that we have as students of the Scripture, is that we live in a world full of problems and pain. It is unfortunate that many people cannot find some level of contentment, some level of happiness or meaningfulness in life. That is because they don't live in the real world. Some look for idealism. They want all the ducks to line up. They want circumstances to align just right. People look for the perfect world, absent of pain, problems, and frustrating people. And then there are those who look at the world through their personal perspective. How they see it is how everybody else is supposed to see it. As Jesus speaks here in Matthew chapter 24, again verses 5 through 13, he paints a very bleak picture about the future of all things. He gives the reality of suffering and difficulty. What we must understand is that there are two different things mentioned in this passage. Number one, Jesus is talking about the destruction of the temple. And second, he is talking about the end of the world. The disciples would have assumed that both were simultaneous events, that the end of the temple would also be the return of Jesus the Christ. Obviously, that is not the case. But in either case, he mentions something that we ought to take note of, and that is in verse number 13. "But he that shall endure unto the end." Think about endurance. There comes a point in all of our lives where we are overwhelmed, anxious, and frustrated. And that point comes when we don't recognize the need to anchor our faith, and that our faith has to mature. It has to be beyond simply believing in God. We have to learn how to trust God. We have to move beyond the superficial. We have to move beyond shallow things, shallow people, and shallow perspectives on life. It may be the events of the world in which we live. It may be the events in our lives. It may be the events in the lives of someone we care for. Whatever the circumstance, we cannot be surprised or overwhelmed by reality, because this is the real world. And Jesus has never promised us exemption from the worst. He's only promised us access to the best. As a means of enduring Again, we must anchor our faith and allow that faith to mature. There are some practical things that we may want to consider in an effort to help strengthen us and to give us a new perspective so that we are not adversely affected by the reality of the real world. We may want to have a social perspective. Who are the people that you value in your life? Who do you appreciate? Who do you love? Do you express that to them? Do you hug regularly? Do you say I love you regularly? Do you forgive regularly? For years of ministry, I have often said at times of funerals, there's a difference between guilt and grief. And many times the tears that are flowing and the emotions that are felt are the result of guilt and not just guilt, or rather not just grief. So we must be careful that we do not ignore the value of our social circle. Focusing on our loved ones as opposed to focusing on our problem people can help us to endure. We also have to have a perspective about those things which are significant in life. What are the things, the realities, and the blessings you appreciate? It is often said you don't miss your water till your well runs dry. Easily we could become consumed with what is wrong in our lives, but have you ever thought about what is right in your life? Whatever your complaint is today, do you know that there are so many people who would trade places with you? If you don't believe me, visit a hospital, visit a nursing home, visit a rehabilitation center. You have so much to be thankful for. And a part of endurance is to focus your attention not on the negative, but to embrace the positive. You need to have a sharing perspective. Most of the time, people complain about what they have not gotten. But how about doing something nice for someone? Do you have an old bedroom set that you want to sell? Maybe an old sofa you want to put on the internet for sale? An old car in the yard you're not using? Do you have clothing that you want to take to a resale shop or to a consignment shop? It may be a great way to make a little extra cash, pay off a couple of bills. But have you ever thought about blessing someone? Maybe a newlywed couple could benefit from that bedroom set. Maybe a single mom could benefit from that second car you're not driving. Whatever the case, you'd be surprised at how much better you feel when you bless someone else and do something for someone who is at least trying. The tragedy in life is that we tend to do the most for people that we're really not helping, and we don't help people who could use the blessing the most. In addition, we need to think about some strategic things in our lives. What kind of goals do you have? What are you looking forward to in the next week, the next few months, the next few years? Here are two unfortunate realities of life. One, we're so busy managing life that we're not managing our dreams and our visions. Second, do you know why you wake up each day? Do you wake up just to be another person to pay a light bill and a gas bill? Suck up some fresh oxygen? Life becomes exciting when you have something to look forward to. Why did you wake up this morning? When you go to sleep tonight, what will you look forward to on tomorrow? Is your life simply about doing the laundry, taking the car in for an oil change, running errands, working your job, mowing the lawn? Make life exciting. A part of enduring is to have something that motivates you and drives you. Find something to look forward to. And then last, stretch yourself. You have to do something to overcome your fears, improve on some skill, discover yourself. Take a class at a community college. Try piano lessons. Try tap dancing. Try skydiving. Okay, well, maybe not skydiving. But you get the point. We need to stretch ourselves, try things, experience things. Instead of being housed in bodies full of fear and anxiety, get outside of yourself, outside of your circumstances. Enjoy life, because after all, this is the only life you have. Enjoy it, live it. This will help you to endure. It'll help you to make it one more day. This has been another installment of A Few Minutes with the Minister.